Hi, I'm Carrie, Lynn, and me and Lailani are here at John Calflooking's cabin. We are at the foothills of the Rockies on the Blackfeet reservation, and we are here to interview John. And I actually graduated with John back in the 80s, and so I've known John all of my life, and so I'm just gonna go ahead and let John introduce himself and tell his story.
Hi, I'm John Calflooking. I'm a Blackfeet tribal member. I live up here in the Kiowa area. I've lived on this reservation probably 3/4 of my life. I'm in the health field. I've been in the health field for 20 plus years. I'm trained to observe things as I watch them, and that's just part of my nature to look, diagnose, and just really be observant. I'm going to tell a story that happened to me when I was in high school. I had two friends of mine, a guy named Earl and another friend of mine. His name was Alvin. Alvin just got a new Blazer. Well, it was new back then, and had big wheels on it, 4-wheel drive, had really nice pipes. And Alvin wanted to go break it in hunting. So we grabbed our rifles and we went and picked up Earl, and we kind of went out north, and we were driving those coulees, and it was a summer day. It was probably August, and back then you could hunt year round for the tribe. There was no hunting season, so we could go hunting anytime. And anyway, it was a hot summer day. We got out north looking for deer, and we wound up driving back behind Duck Lake. And it was getting toward evening then, and behind Duck Lake it can really be muddy and just lots of brush, lots of mud holes, and so you really need a 4-wheel drive to get back there. And Alvin was driving, I was sitting on the passenger side, and Earl, who we called Chief, he was in the back seat of this Blazer. And just three young guys out hunting for the evening. And we got way back there. We got past Goose Lake, and we weren't seeing nothing really. And there was this big dark rain cloud coming from the west, and the sun was going down. So we decided to turn around because back then it was just that way in and out of there. And we had a lot of brush to get to the paved highway, probably a couple miles, at least 5-6 miles. And it started to rain on us, and we were going through the brush, and the road was getting really muddy and sloppy, and that Blazer was having a kind of a tough time getting through the ruts. So Alvin, he decided to get out and lock the hubs in. So we just parked in the brush, and it was dark, but you could still see there was still some light. And Alvin jumped out of the driver's side, and the Blazers back then, you had to lock in the hubs, turn the hubs. So he jumped out on that side, and I was a passenger, so I jumped out on this side, and I bent over and I was locking the hub into 4-wheel drive. And when I stood up, Alvin was standing straight across the hood from me, and it was like he was frozen. He had no expression, and it was like he was staring right through me. And I looked at him and I said, "Alvin, what's wrong?" And he was like he was in a state of shock. And Alvin, and then finally he kind of snapped out of it, and he ran and jumped in the driver's seat. Well, I'm a big scaredy cat in a brush. Someone's running, I'm running too. I was like a second behind him, and I was in the passenger side. Alvin just threw it down and drive and just buried it. We were just busting through the road, and he was going really fast, and I was trying to get his attention. I was like, "Alvin, what did you see? What scared you?" And he was like, I said, "Come on, Alvin, tell me." I was persistent. And he said that just a little ways behind me, when he stood up, he said there was something big and tall and hairy, and it was just standing behind me just a little ways. And he said it had great big eyes, but he said it was really tall. He never said 8, 9, 10 feet, but it was tall to him. And my friend Earl was laughing in the back seat, saying, "Oh, you guys are a couple of scaredy cats." But Alvin had a really serious look on him, and I could tell he was scared deep down. And we were, going through the brush, and he had to, eventually we locked, he threw it in four-wheel drive because it was just downpouring, raining. Well, it got pitch black back there. We didn't get out of there in time. And we come up on this meadow, because there's several meadows back in there too. And we came up on a meadow, and it had a gate, a fence gate. Well, in Montana, if you're the passenger, guess who gets the gate? I'm like, oh my God, I got to get out. And we just had this funny feeling that whatever Alvin saw half a mile back was following us. I don't know. I just had this feeling. So I got out, and there was horses right there, right at the gate, and they were standing in Alvin's headlights. So I opened the gate, and Alvin drove through, and I told him, hit your brake lights so it's shiny back behind his Blazer. So he hit the brake lights, and those horses were still right there. I closed the gate, and I just had this eerie feeling like something was watching me. And I just, you have that sixth sense. And the hair on my neck was standing up. And so I bailed in the passenger side again, and we start going across that field. And as we were going to the field, we were getting to the other side of the fence. Those horses were running right next to us. So something spooked them too. And they were following us. And when we got to the other fence, I had to get out and open that gate. And by then my heart is going, 200 miles an hour. I'm freaking myself out. And I opened that gate. Alvin drove through it. And I closed it again. And those horses, they stood right at that gate. They was like they wanted to come with us. And we eventually got to the highway. And we start heading back toward Browning. And we were all pretty quiet about it. It was kind of a scary feeling. Like something was following us in that brush. And just the way those horses acted, you could tell those horses were scared too. So, and Alvin said it was big, tall, and hairy, and it was right behind me. And when he bolted for the Blazer after we got done locking in these hubs, I didn't want to turn around and look because I knew he seen something behind me, and I just bolted with him. So that's one experience. I never saw it, but my friend saw it behind me.
Mm-hmm.